Waste Management Monitoring Committee meeting, call to order. Roll call.
Alrighty. Marvin Wolf,
Here.
Harvey Schweitzer.
Here.
Abby Lightke,
Here.
Roland Kiefer.
Here.
Melvin Hebron.
Here.
William Faze.
Here.
Belinda Costa.
Here.
And also in attendance is Joe Spear from GSA Environmental, Brad Vanderkin and Madeline Schwerinsky from Waste Management, and Glenn Moore, our city engineer, and Alice Wolf. Thank you. And the meeting was posted in accordance with the open meeting law.
Okay. Approval of the minutes from November 2nd.
It should have been 2023. I wrote
Yeah,
the wrong year.
2023, not
Sorry.
2024.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Oh.
A second?
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Everybody should have got a copy of the financial report. Any questions on the financial report? Not hearing any, do I have a motion to approve?
I so move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, we'll move on to new business. Joe Spears, well sampling report.
So I didn't correct the agenda because we as a group kind of shifted around on the well sampling report. So I'm going to leave it on so that we talk about it each time we get back where we should be. New contract in July and the report issued in November. And that way the contract is always done so that you guys can have, if you choose, have somebody else write the report with the existing data. That's where most of my work is in the report writing, not necessarily the selection. So I think that's the right time to change if you want someone else. And that's we're all set to go. The next meeting, I will have the stickers for Katie to go out for the mailing, and then it'll go to the landfill, and then it'll come back to Katie, and then eventually me, and I'll make the selection of the 35. It'll get approved by you guys, and it'll go out in such a way that in July, the sampling will be done.
Okay.
And then at the July meeting, we'll discuss whether or not you want a new lab and a new author.
Any questions? Okay. Landfill audit report?
So the landfill has been surprisingly boring, but it usually is in the winter. There's been some small odors, a little back and forth across the street. Across the street has been producing gas odors, so it's been the focus lately in the complaints. Now that Brad has been working on the south side most of the time, that really has taken down the amount of litter that moves around. Very rarely do we get winds truly straight out of the north that move litter into his site. So it's nice to see everything staying in place. Cover was good when I was out. Construction is approved, but I need a date, just for record keeping.
When the documentation was approved?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know you guys are gonna place waste when you want to.
Yeah,
but-
it's 117.
Okay, so the site can place waste anytime it wants in the new hole. And it also means that you don't have a temporary septic basin anymore, correct? Because now you've
No.
gone up?
We have a
There's-
pond yet.
Oh, there is, okay.
Yeah.
All right, and then that's one of the things I monitor because it's pumped rather than self-draining.
Any
And
questions?
we had one complaint about tracking for both sites, and
I heard
both
that.
sites have responded very well they'll put more effort forward for later in the day and especially for over the weekend.
Okay. Any questions from the committee? Well sampling contract.
So I'm going to just wrap that up. The reason I didn't have it removed was so that we definitely talked about it. We'll
Okay.
definitely talk about it for the next meeting so that it's discussed in July.
Okay. Any questions to Joe Spears? Not hearing any, do I have a motion to approve his report?
Motion.
Second?
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, we'll move on to waste management. Brad?
Yeah. Kind of like Joe said, we did receive construction documentation approval for 3B so that we can basically go into 3B when we're ready. It's probably going to be a couple weeks yet, working on filling where we are right now in 3A, and once we get that all the final grade, we'll go into 3B.
Hey, Brett, you've got new people from,
Yeah.
since we haven't had a new cell.
Yeah.
Why don't you go over what the documentation covers,
So
the
basically,
pinhole leaks and so on?
yeah,
Thanks.
DNR reviews basically basically we send them a report saying that we constructed the cell based on how our permit reads and everything is good to go. They review all the documentation, all the testing from the lab, looking for leaks, and basically the DNR is in concurrence with us saying that everything looks good and we can go into the new cell. So when we go in the new cell, we do a fluff lift. So basically we're trying to put a layer of trashing to protect the stone and the liner. Before that, we start running special waste or other different waste streams in there to make sure that our liner works properly, the stone, water's draining, and everything's working correctly. So we'll get to that fairly soon here. So usually we try and go in winter, because once we cut the liner to go into that cell, any water that goes into the cell is leachate. So right now, until we go into that cell, it's not leachate. But once it touches trash, obviously leachate, and we have to manage it properly. So we usually try and time it when there's not rain, but obviously you've seen the weather right now, and it's not cooperating exactly with. Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions on that? At all?
Just, how thick do you go?
20 feet. Yeah.
I mean, I know that, but
Yeah.
for some of these that don't,
Yeah.
you know.
Yep. 20-foot fluff lift.
So you're gonna start in a new cell, so the
Yeah.
old one is full, or you just?
No, it won't be the final grade, and we'll keep putting waste in the old land,
Wow.
the old cell basically. But basically, what we want is what we call just normal MSW trash. That's going to make the best fluff lift and help us get across that area as quickly as possible. We want to get the stone covered up.
They're gonna have what they call an overlay. So as they go up,
Yep.
obviously that slope
Yeah.
that they just created with the waste from before,
Yeah.
they'll move up that. So at some point they are they're putting new garbage back in the cell they were in, but they had to bring the very new cell up. And when he said the leachate, you put the first load of garbage in, and if it rains, the entire cell is leachate. Now, how much of it is actually going to be contaminated by the waste? Very little, but that's the highest volume he's going to get because it had no perk time. It is right there, and he has to pump it down to less than a foot right away. So the faster he gets the fluff layer across, the faster he protects the cell and slows down the progression of leachate. Because it's a linear payment when he pumps it out to the CFPW.
There was like 1 inch of
How many
rain
acres is
over
it?
an acre is like 220,000 gallons. So it's a lot of water.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It adds up
Yeah.
real quick, and even just the snow melt.
And our cell's 7 acres, so it'd be a lot of water. As far as other DNR, we are working with DNR and Army Corps of Engineers basically on wetland determination for potential expansion. So we're going through that process right now. Construction updates, we did all the wells that we had planned for last year. We're trying to keep construction rolling as far as gas work going into 2024. Weather hasn't quite cooperated with our plan there, but we're gonna add some gas wells into the Northeast Expansion West and a few gas wells on the Old Hill in 2024. But we're not really building a new cell or any large projects planned for this year. We're probably gonna move some dirt in preparation for a new cell in 2025, based on what we have in the workbook right now. Kind of what we're at corporate meetings this week in the Dells, and we were talking a little bit about gas beforehand. You guys were mentioning it, but we have a corporate goal to reduce our emissions by 42% by 2030. So a lot of planning. Work with Maddie and working on extracting as much gas from the trash as we can. So we're looking at it very closely, planning strategically on how to make sure that we're putting horizontals in when we can to get the gas out of freshly placed trash, and then putting in vertical wells when we get to final grade in order to extract as much gas as possible. But it's corporate initiatives, and that dictates a lot what we have to do as well. But just to make it full awareness that we're very focused on extracting gas and getting it to our engine and turbine plants as much as possible.
When you extract that gas, when you're gonna try and do this, you're gonna put in larger vacuum pumps included with lines?
So the engine, the turbine plants will have vacuum that would suffice to pull as much out as we need. So
So you don't need to increase that pull?
potentially, but right. So what normally is, so what a gas tech actually does is, so there's vacuum on the hill, and he'll go out and read each well at least once a month, usually more than that. And what he can do is he can control the vacuum on each well. And so what he's doing is you're reading for methane and then balanced gas and oxygen. And you're trying to find a balance between pulling as much methane out of the hill as you can, but not pulling in oxygen. So it's a thin balance, because you want a little bit of oxygen, because then you know you're pulling hard enough that you're getting all the gas. But if the oxygen gets too high, then the engine plants can't run off of that gas. So it's basically what we're doing is trying to find that balance. And when there's more, if we need to create more vacuum, as you're saying, then we can run different lines, or work with Maddie and the gas team. We engineer that to make sure that we're extracting as much gas as possible.
The blower they use is oversized
Yeah.
for what they're doing right now, so they can dial it up. Not to mention, if, let's say they're pulling 60 inches of water, and it's all measured in water, don't get hyped if you see it and you're used to doing mercury. It is 60 inches of water. At the farthest well, which is going to be one of the new ones, they probably may have it dialed down, and it's a volume to pressure ratio. So they're gonna lower the volume that can be pulled from it, thereby lowering the pressure at the wellhead. That's what he means by they can dial it in. If they want to increase it, they increase the size of the aperture, which does increase the size of the pressure. It's a good balancing act, and it kills off the methanogenic bacteria if you have too much oxygen. Your permit's 2%, right? It's the max you're supposed to have in a well?
Oxygen well. In a well?
Yeah.
It's changed a little bit, and I don't want to say exactly what it is, because
Okay.
I don't know off the top of my head.
There's a statute, but every landfill, because when they go for their gas extraction, it ends up with a statement in there that's their permit balance.
With the air permit, it's in our air
Yeah.
permit, yeah. Yeah, but ultimately, construction this year is going to be fairly light compared to last year. Like I said, we're not doing a cap, and we're not doing a cell. Just mainly probably moving some dirt or some small projects around the site for this next year. As far as current site operations, we're still in cell 3A. Basically, we're going to finish that off and then go into the new cell. We'll still be putting some waste in 3A even when we go in the new cell. By the time we build out some space and be able to get all the trucks down there. Right now, we are getting a few dirt projects coming in, so traffic has been pretty heavy, especially this week. There was a few days where we were over 6,000 tons a day, where typically we're about 2,500. We Energies, we did go down this week. We Energies is fixing the power to the site, which should help make our electric a little bit more stable. We have had a few power losses over the last few months that took us down, and so that should help us out. It should be a little bit more stable connections for us. We did add 2 horizontals in the last few months into the waste that we're filling now. But overall, kind of what Joe said, it's been pretty much the normal blocking and tackling that we've had. Trucks are coming in, getting the trash in the hole and covering it up. So it's been a little challenging with this weather. We have an early spring right now and working through some of the track out issues in the mud and road conditions, but it happens every year, so we're just working through them a little earlier.
Yes.
You have you have any expansion construction before 2030?
Not sure.
Okay, so, but then likely by 2030, you'll have wells everywhere, because you'll be well into the new cell.
As far as,
You're likely to hit that goal. Metro
Oh.
is likely to hit your goal.
oh, that, I mean,
We'll hit the goal.
we'll hit, we'll hit the goal. Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, you're set up well for it, that's all.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at the gas system. It's under high scrutiny right now, not only from corporate but EPA for methane emissions. We're focusing and spending a lot of time on gas and gas extraction. Yeah.
Any
Yeah.
other questions?
Did they ever give you the opportunity to want to put in wind up on top of the hill?
That'd probably be a little bit rough with the liner system and the instability of the actual landfill. It's even the closed cell is still.
Still moves so much?
Yeah. Yep.
The other question I'd have is, thinking of Stan, residential drop-off in the driveway.
Mhm.
How's that going over there?
I haven't had any complaints as far as resi drop off. I had to have a few residents who hit my fence, so we'll probably look at fixing the fence this year. But other than that, I haven't had too many complaints.
How's it-
Actually, the road is pretty good back
Yeah,
there.
I'd say it is.
He patched that
Yeah.
last,
Last
I don't know,
spring or fall, I can't
I
remember. to
can't
be honest.
remember either,
Yeah.
but it is actually pretty decent back there.
Then you guys had put in probably 5 years ago, that license scanner device?
Yep.
Still use that?
Still
How's
use that.
going?
Yeah, so I've had some stability with the employees that I've had back there and the license scanner, and it has deterred, and we're able to track a little bit more. But we did have a lot of contractors and a lot of out of town people dumping, and that was able to deter some of them and be able to make sure that it's utilized by Franklin, Town of Raymond, Norway residents, and keeping it open for them. So it has.
And Norway's gotten their, because you had some zip codes and things that were,
Oh, yeah, I got like 5 zip codes there, but
Yeah.
Got straightened out.
they handle it
So,
pretty well.
Well, I think Raymond's.
I haven't had any
got 2 or
complaints at all.
3, so.
And they've checked me with my license every time I go in.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
There's a few. I've gotten a few calls over people worried about identity and things like that. It's not hooked up to the internet even.
Yeah.
It's ultimately a tracking tool, and it doesn't really even track anything.
No, I haven't, like I
It's-
said, I haven't heard not one complaint once you guys got it all straightened out
Yep.
there at the beginning, you know?
Yep.
it's good to hear that it's working.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Not hearing any, do we have a motion to approve Brad's report?
Oh,
Second?
I'll second
Okay, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
it. Aye.
Okay. I'm gonna deviate a little bit. Glenn, is there something you want?
No, I just fell on my schedule and I decided it's
Okay,
night.
just wanted to make sure that
It's
we
been a
didn't
while.
leave you off the,
I've
oh,
only, speaking of complaints, it's been probably 3 or 4 months since I've had any complaints at all. And the ID, just the one guy that annually seems to
Yeah.
have
right.
an issue with.
Yeah, it's usually few and far between. Like I said, it's usually about 400 to 500 residents a day that we're open, and the complaints are fairly minimal for the amount of people that are going through.
400
Right.
to
Sending a
500
lot
a
of
day.
people your way because ours is fairly limited. And
Yeah,
we are looking at a project to actually make ours better.
yeah,
Like where residents would get a card, if you will, and let themselves in and out. So
Yeah.
we're gonna bid that out later this year again.
okay, yeah.
Okay, we'll move
How
on.
many days
to-
a week are you open for residential?
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday.
Okay.
Tuesday and
Tuesday,
Saturday.
Thursday.
And I feel like somebody should mention that is outside of the host agreement,
Yeah.
just in case it ever
Yes.
changes,
Yes.
that is.
That had
beyond
been
that.
changed quite a while ago. We had changed it to accommodate more residents.
Yeah.
So it's outside the host agreement. And they've been willing to work with us on it.
Yeah.
Waste Management has. Okay? Any miscellaneous business authorized by law? Just Joe.
I didn't know where to put this. So I use GoDaddy for the business, and the type of web page that I have been using to share your information is going by the way. So the site will be down probably this weekend, and when it comes back up, it'll be this year. I still owe you summaries from last year. Now that my left hand works to type, I'm getting those done. I still have the annual report at the end of the next, for the next meeting. But I just wanted to let you know that the site will be down. When it comes back up, it'll look the same, but it's, because I like creativity, but it's powered by a different engine.
Okay.
So it'll start with this year's January. It'll have the well sampling reports. So we'll just be starting fresh. It'll also all be typed. Nobody has to read my handwriting anymore.
Any other comments? Not hearing any. Next scheduled meeting, May 2nd, August 1st, and November 7th. It's on your agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
I do.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
I have a question.
Meeting is adjourned.